Alright, I'm gonna try recording this video in a different format, and I'm gonna be really honest with you, because this is a movie that cuts really close to my heart. Evil Dead 2013 is the remake of one of my favorite movies of all time, and I know a lot of people say that. But the original Evil Dead trilogy, when I was growing up, was one of those things that helped define who I am today. The overly misogynistic character of Ash, I mean, it just I don't know. I guess seeing Bruce Campbell in that campy, fun sort of way, even though he wasn't in the first one, mind you, and that's what they're remaking, it made me feel a lot better about myself, and it taught me even though he was an asshole, he was still at the end of the day the nice guy, and that's who we all want to be. Now, this remake, I understand why they didn't cast another character to play Ash. No one could fill the role of Bruce Campbell, and that no one would accept anyone but Bruce Campbell. I mean, the after credit scene was amazing, and I will admit to you guys that I squealed like a 13-year-old girl when I saw that in the theater. In fact, the person I was with kind of laughed at me for it, and I feel really silly for it, but you know what? I'm glad I did it. But the movie itself, it was good. It was good on its own merit. There were a few things I didn't like, mainly the fact that there was no real main character. I know most people say Mia's the protagonist, but in all honesty, in the first, what is it, 30, 40 minutes, she was possessed, and I considered her dead at that point. In fact, the movie had to kill her and bring her back, which, as far as Deus Ex Machinas go, that's not that bad. There, I'll admit, in Evil Dead 2, there was a lot cheesier one where the love of his girlfriend brought Ash back from the brink of being a demon-possessed and psychopath, but still, it's just, I guess, I felt it was lacking in the fact that it didn't have a traditional protagonist, and I'll admit it's just that irked me a little bit. The other thing that irked me is how all the other characters kind of fall into that formulaic, they're assholes to each other. Everyone's nice to Mia because, she's a drug addict and she's going through withdrawals and all that. And once again, I'm not going to provide footage in this one. I know a lot of you wanted me to, and you wanted me to come out with my normal humor, but I can't do it. This is just, it's too personal on this one. It's a good movie. I'm not doubting that in any. And if you should if you haven't, you should definitely go see it. I'm sorry, Layla's acting up today. She's been really rambunctious lately. But back to Evil Dead. I'm sorry, she got me sidetracked. It's it is a fantastic movie. There's just little things that piss me off. The biggest thing, and this left me so frustrated, was the fact that after Mia, spoiler alert here, of course I should put said spoilers at the beginning of this, she cuts her hand off with that chainsaw. I know, very reminiscent of Evil Dead 2, but she doesn't cauterize it or she doesn't stitch it up or anything like that. In fact, at the end of the movie, she's just sitting there with this stump, just bleeding it, letting it bleed out. And that, I guess, I understand they're going to make a sequel and it's going to pick up where that left off, but really, something as minor as that should be able to be looked over, but it irks me a little bit. And I know if that's my biggest complaint, it must not, but it's not my biggest complaint. My biggest complaint about the movie is they didn't give me time to get interested in the characters. I knew nothing about these kids before they started getting slaughtered. In fact, the only one I really knew shit about were Mia and her brother. And her brother, I didn't find that interesting of a character. In fact, I kind of saw him as an asshole. Then again, granted, not as much of an asshole as the other guy in the movie, the one that really shouldn't have lived anywhere near as long as he did. In fact, I was rooting for his death. Does that make me a bad person? Probably, but I don't care. I wanted him to die. I wanted him to die painfully and horribly. Luckily, he did, and I was happy with that. But still, I did not like him. As everyone begged and pleaded, and it's like that video of that guy outside Waco where that explosion happened at that fertilizer plant. You can hear his kid in the background saying, Dad, please, I can't hear anything. Let's get out of here. And he just sits there and records it. That's the way this dick was about the Necronomicon. He just, or whatever they called it in this movie. They called it something else, I remember. But still, it just, it pissed me off. I mean, they were begging this guy to quit reading that book, but he kept on with it, and he was laughing and having a good time. And in my opinion, he should have been the one who got tree raped. Which, granted, as many people hated that scene, including Sam Raimi, I loved that they brought it back. It was a brilliant homage, and it showed that that movie's willing to go that extra mile to make you unnerved. I mean, granted, come on. This day and age, you can see a lot worse on the internet. In fact, the Japanese have capitalized on there being a lot worse on the internet. But still, it was a brilliant, brilliant move on this new director's part. And I respect him for it. Now, as far as the whole where the series is going in the future, yeah, I would love to see a sequel, actually. I know a lot of people that said they didn't like it and they wouldn't, but I'm glad that there's going to be making a sequel, and if everything goes to plan, they make the Army of Darkness 2, there's going to be that eventual crossover, and I would love to see the character of Mia interacting with Ash. I mean, just the Evil Dead 2 Army of Darkness Ash. Please don't bring back the awkward, clumsy Evil Dead 1 Ash. I know it was where the movie started and Bruce Campbell wasn't himself as an actor at that point, but still. I would love, because she is such a serious person, and this new movie was so serious, it needed a little bit of the campy fun humor. Yes, there were several nods to it, and I understand why they did that, especially with a franchise this big, and it wasn't just fan service, which, once again, I have to respect the director for. You stop that. Sorry. It just, but this movie was a big deal to me, and I didn't want to make this review until I had seen the movie at least 3 times. I'd let it sink in. I thought about it from every angle, and after I did, I decided this was the best way to go about it. Because I know my normal stuff, it's goofy, it's not that well thought out, but this one, I wanted to talk about my true experience with this movie. Because it is a good movie. It's a great, I wouldn't say addition to the Evil Dead, because, let's face it, you can't add on to the Evil Dead, really. I mean, yes, there's the comics and all that, but it's not the same, but without it, Bruce Campbell. But the promise that there might eventually be some sort of that Bruce Campbell in that medium allows me to accept it in the fact that, yes, it could be an Evil Dead, and I know everyone's tired of hearing Bruce Campbell, Bruce Campbell, Bruce Campbell. But let's face it, the man is why Evil Dead is as popular as it is. You couldn't put anyone else in that role and have it be as wildly successful as this movie was. Because he is just... he has this personality that no one else can pull off. It's very self-aware, it's smug, it's misogynistic, but you still love him for it. And that's, I think, what a lot of people didn't understand when I said the movie kind of disappointed me at first. I understand they wanted to be serious about it. The first movie was serious, and that's fine. I mean, Raimi himself wanted to make a serious horror movie, but it turned out to be this campy, goofy, fun thing he ended up doing, and that's perfectly acceptable. It's fine. I love that. It's just, now that Evil Dead's been defined that way, you can't change that. The comics never changed it, the games never changed it. And believe me, I am a huge fan of anything Evil Dead. I've done it all, I've tried it all. I've made the bird watch Evil Dead with me. She's seen me play the games. She's tried to take chunks out of the comic book. I mean, hell. Evil Dead is that thing that defined me as a moviegoer. It was that thing that showed me that, hey, even though horror's great, it was my introduction to the horror genre. I started with Army of Darkness, and then I worked backwards. I know, that's weird. Most people go the other way, but If it wasn't for Evil Dead, I wouldn't have discovered movies like Dead Alive, Brain Dead, From Dusk Till Dawn, movies that I love that are such a part of me that I can't even begin to tell you guys. This movie, the remake of it, yeah, I was pissed about it at first. I was in the boat that there's no way they can do this any justice, and I was pleasantly surprised. I honestly was. And I'm one of the few people that hated the remake of Dawn of the Dead. There's no pleasing me when it comes to remakes. And really, the fact that I can accept this movie, it shows that they worked hard. They understood what the project they were undertaking, and I'm gonna love to see where it goes from here. Now, this movie's probably longer than the entirety of my season 2 put together. I mean, this rant is, sorry. I'm not gonna do any extra takes or anything like that. I want everything to flow really naturally. So, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here. I know you guys were expecting something better, but next week I'll be back with the same old Tyfer, same old doing the thing I do best. I really wanted to do something different for this one because it really did something different from what I was used to. Alright, so, until next time, I'll see you guys later.